you guys are joining us here at Raceway Park live and in person, you guys are waiting patiently, and we thank you for that. We are making sure our judges have all of their tools in their arsenal to make sure qualifying goes smoothly. Just give us a few moments. We'll get our live stream all up and on the internet, and you guys can join us and see the exact same drone footage that our judges are seeing. And honestly, give them your own opinion. Start a riot. Throw stuff at them. Just don't hit me. I'm sitting right next to him. I'm on the far left. Far left. Don't hit me. Just for our drivers and our spotters out there, we will not announce our qualifying scores throughout qualifying, but instead announce our qualifying results in our qualifying meeting after the conclusion of qualifying underneath the drivers' meeting tent. I repeat, we will not announce our qualifying scores until our qualifying meeting later today. Welcome to Raceway Park for round 4 of the Gambler. If you guys are joining us here live and in person, thank you for joining us in this beautiful weather here in New Jersey as we're about to watch our 20 drivers qualify for this 235 round only on the road course here at Raceway Park. Before we get started, I'd like to give a big shout out to our 2023 sponsors. Of course, our Let It Ride sponsors, thanks to Drift HQ, South Bay Fuel Injectors, Freedom Motorsports, and also a big shout out to Racers and Tuners, 5 of the 6 Wraps, Vital Focus, East Coast Drift School, Tire Stacks, FDF Race Shop, and Valino. And of course, Raceway Park for holding these events for our drivers to compete and qualify here today. We got our first qualifying driver coming down the chute now as Edgar Jimenez takes his first qualifying lead. Edgar clicks into outside 1, holding his momentum, standing on the throttle. A good exit from outside 1 as he rotates into outside 2. A little bit of a wheel pickup as he rotates down the hill. Needs to get into that outside 3, a little tuck into the puddle there. Edgar definitely keeping it entertaining, getting the crowd excited as he works his way into outside 4. Sarah, who's not joining us, no longer gets to claim this as she's ditched us this round. But this is the People's Corner. Edgar doing a great job. Just shy hanging into the box, though. Jimenez down past that reference point. This is not a judge zone, but more so for our drivers and chase drivers to understand where they are going into our last and final zone and across the finish line. A solid first qualifying lap out of Edgar. We'll have to wait For our qualifying results to our qualifying meeting, don't worry for you guys joining us at home on Facebook and YouTube. I will announce the qualifying order before our bracket, or you guys just get to show up and see how our drivers did as they get placed in their brackets for their tandem battles later today. Our next driver up on the line, Jack Coleman. Not on the line, waiting to get his tires warmed up. Maybe a little hesitant. Jack Coleman now entering the burnout box where he's going to warm up his tires. This is the opportunity for our drivers to put a little heat into the rubber underneath of their machines before they just shove it into turn one here deep into Raceway Park. If you guys are unfamiliar with the course layout here at Raceway Park, we have 6 outside zones, totaling with 1 inside zone, totaling a massive road course here for our drivers to navigate. There is plenty of area and real estate for our drivers to make both a stellar impression on our judges and a mistake. We want to make sure our drivers are putting down 100-point leads because that's where it's important in the lead so our chase drivers can shine in tandem. Our next driver up on the line, Jack Coleman, waiting for the green light to take his first qualifying lap. Jack piloting that JZX. Navigating through the chicane, taking his first qualifying lap here. Initiates well before that last initiation point with a bang and a pop fire out to the backside. I can only assume a JZ under the hood as he works his way through outside zone number 1. Jack doing a good job as he rotates up into outside 2. A little shallow and a bobble, but makes the zone count as he works into outside 3. Jack doing a good job, nice and stable now as he works through 3 and that front inside clip, nice and tight there. Jack doing a good job and needs to get into outside 4, nice and deep, and hold the proximity to the outside edge of the track. A nice rotation up into the people's corner, outside 5, dumping it into the puddle. Just so you guys are aware, it is a 3-tire off rule. So we commend for that throttle commitment, keeping it off the wall, maybe understanding his tires are a little wet, but a safe lap from his first qualifying definitely should put him in the show as we have 20 drivers here today. Jack doing a solid job in his lap. We're looking for our next driver who just finished warming up his tires. We are moving now as Mike Sampson is ready to take his first qualifying lap. Just for a reminder, if you're like, where is his qualifying score? Do not worry. I will announce his qualifying scores in our qualifying drivers meeting. If you guys are curious where they're going to land, don't worry. We'll announce our bracket landing as soon as we get back after our drivers meeting and let our drivers know where they land, where they're going to be battling out, who they got next. We do have a last man call out for this event. Trevor Root and Tim Frito has $200 extra on the line. Completely has nothing to do with the competition. These guys literally said, I got $100 to say I last longer than you. So we're going to see which one of those drivers lasts the longest. But next, our next driver up on the line, taking his qualifying with Mike Sampson, clicking in to Raceway Park's round 4 here at the Gambler. Sampson doing a great job in that E30, getting into outside zone number 1. Got to keep that rear axle nice and deep. It's both driver, or what? He rotates out to outside 2. There's only one driver out there. I'm getting excited myself. Works into outside 3. Like a good big flick, large flick, maybe too much. Sacrificing outside 4. Can he clean it up for outside 5? Sampson making it turn down the false house and rotates to that reference point. Back up into that final outside zone, right next to that Raceway Park logo, and across the finish line. Definitely not a 100-point run, but nonetheless crosses the finish line unscathed. Our next driver up to qualify, Jimmy Revert, piloting that blue S13, believe V8 powered. If you guys are joining us on the live stream, you can see where Mike just had to sacrifice that outside zone number 4. Sarah's not joining us this round. She ditched us to go announce another event elsewhere, but she's still upset about the fact that you missed outside 4. I mean, you didn't even try. Jimmy Revert pulling out of the burnout box, ready to take his first qualifying lap here. If you guys are just joining us on the live stream, this is round 4 of the Gambler. This is a 235 tire class restriction only. We have 20 drivers out here that are all restricted to a 235 tire, no matter the machine. The machine going down for his first qualifying, getting piloted by Jimmy Revert. clicks in well early into outside 1. Just shy of the box, but clicks in now. Keeping that tire right there on the line as he rotates out to outside 2. Jimmy doing a good job as he rotates down the hill here at Raceway Park. Needs to click into outside 3. Revert right past that front inside clip. A lot of inertia and flicks in. He needs to make sure he gets nice and deep to outside 4. Revert doing a great job as he rotates into the people's corner outside 5. Nice and deep. Keeping it out. Jimmy doing a great job. He's going to rotate past that reference point and back up to that final outside zone here on the bank wall and across the finish line. Makes a noise for Jimmy Revert, putting down a solid qualifying lap here. If you guys are just joining us and curious, where are the qualifying scores? Do not worry. I will announce them when we get to the brackets. Don't worry. Be patient. I promise. They'll be here. If you guys are watching at home on the replay, or if you're joining us here on your phones, you're seeing Jimmy Revert's qualifying lap, doing a solid job through the back half. A little bit of a bobble through outside 1, but he cleaned it up super fast and looks super solid. Looking forward to see how the judges are going to weigh that, but we're waiting for our next driver to go up on the line. And Colin Cressett in a borrowed car that he already broke the axle in once. This is Kyle's car. I'm sorry, this is not Colin, this is Kyle. Colin clicking into his first qualifying lap here in outside 1 with a borrowed vehicle. He got 1 lap, broke the axle on it. So this is literally like his second, third lap in this car, and he's clicking through outside 2. Colin doing a great job through outside 3. Needs to rotate that car back up. Doing a great job getting that S14 planted to that front inside clip. Super deep, setting himself up perfectly for outside 4. A bit shy off the box though, pulls out just a tad early, keeping the axles underneath of the car. Doing a good job through people's corner. A nice solid drive as he rotates down past that reference point and back up to that final outside zone to the Raceway Park bank wall. And not too shabby for a borrowed car from Colin Cressett. Our next qualifying driver up on the line, Chris Pawlowski. Chris spending some time at East Coast Drift School here at Raceway Park, looking to put that time down as he goes out for his first qualifying lap. Looking to put some points on the board, getting himself into the show where he'll be able to battle out the other 19 drivers here for the cash and prizes, thanks to Raceway Park and our event sponsors. We were just waiting for the green light for Chris to go underway. Our judges are ready. Oh, look, Ma, I'm on TV. How you internet people doing over there? You see this thing? It's like I'm playing Call of Duty. All right, let's see if I can tell them where they're shooting from as Chris Pawlowski goes into qualifying 1. He needs to get into outside zone number 1. A bit shy, but gets in nice and late as the drone starts to tuck in as he goes into outside 2. Pawlowski getting in that rear axle into outside 2 as he rotates down to outside 3. Clicks into outside 3 well as he rotates past that front inside clip. Getting that front axle right to tight. Bumper, we'd like to see a little more angle there, but he's setting himself up nice for outside 4. Rotates back up to the people's corner for outside 5 as Pawlowski keeping it out of the dirt. That power down starts to exit. Goes over that reference point. Starting to slam on it now as he goes up into that bank wall. Clicks into that last outside zone, pulls out a tad early, but across the finish line nonetheless from Chris Pawlowski. For you guys joining us at home, you are watching Pawlowski's first qualifying lap in his S14. A bit shy getting into outside 1 and 2, but he does check those boxes nonetheless. Outside 3 is a nice confident drive and rotates to that front inside clip. He has to rotate back up to the people's corner Sarah's corner, outside 4, where he does a good job getting nice and deep into outside 4 and then rotates back up to the People's corner, outside 5. Popolowski doing a good job here, and he starts to get confident with his throttle inputs now as he starts to rotate back down to the reference point and back up to the bank final zone. We'll have to wait for our announcements later in the competition for where he'll place in qualifying, but nonetheless should put him in the show. Our next driver up on the line, Tim Frito Wilson, piloting that E36, or what's left of it at least, ready to take his first qualifying lap. Frito, one of the 2 gentlemen in the last man call out. Literally, Trevor Root and Tim Frito said, I got $100, I last longer than you, which is a weird thing to flex out here. Just for the record, they both lasted so far as Tim Frito ready to take his first qualifying lap. The endurance of these men is quite admirable as they've been out here for hours practicing already. And Premio Saucer's the way sauces should be. We're just waiting for Frito to get the green light. All right, and here we got the green lights illuminated for Tim Frito to take his first qualifying lap here at round 4 of the Gambler. Look at him wiggling all the way down. He's nowhere near where he needs to initiate yet. As Frito flicks into outside zone number 1, he needs to get that E36 into that box, and he does. Keeps that rear axle nice and deep as he keeps and completes and rotates all the way out to outside 2. A good inertia flick down the hill here at Raceway Park as he carries that momentum into outside 3. Frito keeping the throttle down as he rotates past that inside clip, keeping the power planted through as he rotates through Sarah's corner, outside 4, and back out to outside 5. We'd like to see some confidence here, keep it out of the mud. He keeps it on the pavement with a hand out the window, waving, fist pumping as he cleans off outside 5, back down to reference point and back up to the outside zone, number 6, over Raceway Park, nice and tight and across the finish line. Makes some noise for Tim Frito, waving at the fans in the stands. You guys joining us at home on live stream or on your cell phones here at Raceway Park, you are watching Tim Frito from the drones. He's checking off the checklist here of what's necessary in qualifying with that turbo E36. I'm going to have to lean off the judges. I don't know what they're looking for. They don't communicate well. But I can only assume that is going to hold some weight going into the tandem brackets. But if you guys are wondering what he scored, you're going to have to hang out until I announce all of our qualifying results later for our bracket results for our drivers. Moving on to our next drivers here today, Chris Meyer ready to take his first qualifying lap. Chris Meyer, no stranger from doing well here at the Gamblers. He's got to make sure he clicks off another qualifying run here as he checks into outside zone number 1. A tad off the box here, but it gets in nice and comfy now as he's holding that E46. Powered with a V8 underneath as he rotates to outside 2. Checks down to the outside 3 as he's holding that momentum. A lot of smoke from the backside of that BMW as he rotates to that front inside clip. Rotates back out to outside zone number 4. Nice and deep through outside 4 for that E46 as Chris Meyer rotates into outside 5. The People's Corner here through the hairpin at Raceway Park. Doing a solid job. Nice throttle control. Looks nice and calm behind the wheel as he rotates down to that reference point and back up to that final zone here at Raceway Park. Up on the bank wall and across the finish line. Makes some noise for Chris Meyer as he finished off his first qualifying lap. If you guys are new to the gambling, we also have Let It Ride tokens. Those Let It Ride tokens allow our drivers to gamble extra money with every battle. They are awarded randomly throughout our qualifying number here, and they will be awarded during our qualifying drivers meeting. But a big shout out to our Let It Ride sponsors. Thank you to Drift HQ, South Bay Fuel Injectors, and Freedom Motorsports for throwing up the extra prizes for our drivers to not only come out here and win some prizes and cash and extra money to go home with. They could lose today and still walk away with prizes. So thank you to those sponsors for helping out our drivers and our series here at The Gambler. If you are interested in getting involved, make sure you walk your way over to Raceway Park get signed up to drive or help out our drivers. And maybe I can shout your name out here, but we get our next driver down on the line. Alex Lepore, working in with that Mustang to outside 1. Needs to keep that rear axle of that Mustang over in, clicks through outside 2. He needs to go down the hill to outside 3. Lepore rotates back to that front inside clip, clicks back in, nice and deep, settled into outside 4. A good transition out of Lepore into outside 5. Calm and collective out of Alex. A little shake of the wheel to get down to the reference point and back up to the bank wall. And checking the checklist for the judges at round 4 of the Gambler. Make some noise for Alex Lepore. Our next driver loaded and ready to shoot out of our starting grid, Andrew Fable. SR20. 50-50 chance he goes hot lap. We get 2 laps here. All right, looks like the yellows are illuminated, waiting for the green to let Andrew Fable take his first qualifying lap as he shoots out of the chicane here at the back west side of Raceway Park and down the straightaway where he initiates as well before that last initiation point, rotating that blue S14 into outside zone number 1. Fable doing a good job getting the S14 deep into outside 1 as he rotates. Tons of wheel speed to get into outside 2, checks off that checklist for the judges as he gets down into outside 3. Good job through outside 3 for Fable as he rotates that first inside clip, clicking the front bumper through that inside clip as he rotates to outside 4. Super deep, all the way through the completion of outside 4 as he rotates to outside 5. Fable doing a good job keeping it out of the mud and on the asphalt as he checks off the people's corner. Outside 5, rotates down with some confidence, got to flick back up to the bank wall here, and right there by the logo, and finishes off nice and strong. A solid first qualifying lap out of Andrew Fable, SR20. A big hot lap and SR20 advocate, Andrew Fable, out here checking out the list for our judges, showing off a little bit with that beautiful blue S14, really dialing himself in. A great set of locks on this man. Go touch his hair, he loves it. Our next driver, Pablo, taking in his first qualifying lap. Literally sabotaging me right here in the peanut gallery right in front of me. Pablo, the smoking cowboy, is making some noise as Pablo's smoking the tires off, leaves outside 1 a tad early, but gets into outside 2. Clicks in down the hill, a lot of inertia going to outside 3, getting that rear axle exactly where it needs to be as he rotates that E46 past that front inside clip. That smoking cowboy E46 trying to get into outside 4, a tad late, but does get into the box, rotates up to outside 5. Pablo, once again, a bit shy off the line, but nonetheless, a confident drive through as he goes through the last reference point and back up to the last outside zone, keeping it off of the wall, and a solid drive from Pablo as he finishes off his first qualifying lap. Our next driver up on the line, Trevor Root, piloting his airplane, E36. And here comes Trevor Root taking his first qualifying lap here, piloting his old E36. Checks in well before he needs to keep it out of the dirt. 1 tire off before he even gets into outside zone number 1. Pulls out of the outside of 1, sacrifices, sets himself out to outside 2. Trevor Tree looking like Trevor Twig. Checks off outside 3. Rotates past that first inside clip, the only inside clip. Gets out nice and deep outside. It looks like he's just going to sacrifice outside 1. Be like, you know, I don't need that. I'm going to take a handicap, check off outside 5. Outside 1 is stupid. I don't like it anyway. It smells funky. I don't like it. As he cleans off with outside 6 with some authority. Trevor doing exactly why the road course here at the Gambler is so beneficial for drivers. Trevor making a slight miscalculation, ruining outside 1 for his qualifying, but nonetheless hammering down, staying in the throttle, setting himself up for the rest of the lap and checking off the rest of the checklist. It won't net a 100-point lead run, but it will or should get him into the show here today. Thanks to our judges here. We'll have to wait for our qualifying result, but remember, 3 tires off is considered a 0. All right, next driver, the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mike Knapp, clicking in for his first qualifying lap with a ton of new power, with a new bottom end in that 1 Series BMW, checking off outside 1 with some authority, clicking into outside 2. A good shove down the hill, a lot of inertia as he keeps back on the throttle, pulls away just slightly from outside 3. Pulled back into that front inside clip and rotates into outside 4. That 1 Series BMW getting nice and deep through Sarah's corner as he gets back into the outside 5. The people's corner here needs to keep it out of the dirt on the asphalt. Mike Knapp doing a great job as he rotates that BMW back down to that reference point and back up to the high side here outside 6 for Raceway Park. Pulls off just slightly, but a confident drive here, and Mike Knapp finishes off his first qualifying pass. Our next driver on the line, ready and poised to take his first qualifying lap, Joshua Cohen. If you guys are joining us on the live stream at home, you are watching Mike Knapp pilot his 1 Series BMW through our course here for his first qualifying lap. If you're curious of our qualifying scores here today, too bad. I'll tell you later. Be patient. Suspense. And here we go, our next qualifying driver, Joshua Cohen. Clicks in with that 350Z well before our last initiation point. Needs to get in outside 1. Does land those tires of that Z into outside 1. Needs to hold on to the entirety of that zone as he works into outside 2. A good flick down the hill here at Raceway Park as he works his 350Z into outside zone number 3. Checks off that box as he rotates past that only inside clip. Now standing on the power nice and deep going into outside 4. Needs to keep it on the course here. Pulls out just slightly early as he rotates up to outside 5 to people's corner here. Needs to keep it out of the dirt on the asphalt. Josh doing a good job as he rotates down to the reference point and back up to that final outside zone. A good flick, confident, and too much. Too much flick out of Josh on his first qualifying lap. That will result in a 0. We'll have to wait for our judges' final. I'm not a doctor, but I can only assume that that's going to kill that runoff. Do not worry, Joshua Cohen has another chance as we're going to run back all 20 drivers for another qualifying lap. So he is not out of the show, but he is now under some pressure as he has to put some points on the board in order to get into our tandem battle bracket. Our next driver up on the line, ready to go, Jabbar Ramos, piloting at Tandem Knights 350Z. Got a committed service brand V8 underneath the hood. One of the Barbie boys. If you guys are joining us on Facebook and YouTube, welcome to the online version. It's basically a seto of Raceway Park, the Gambler. This is round 4 here at the road course. We're about to send our next driver, Jabbar Ramos, piloting that Barbie Boys 350Z, V8 powered. Is he the Ken in that scenario? He's not the Ken. He's just the Jabbar? I thought he dyed his hair. He took the whole Ken personality. I don't know, but let's check out his first qualifying lap as we've got Jabbar Ramos taking his first qualifying lap. If you guys are just joining us, this is Raceway Park. This is the Gambler. This is round 4. These guys have an entire point series where they've been battling it out for both cash prizes and the podium spots for the ultimate prize of the championship. This is a 235 class only. So our drivers are restricted to a tire of a 235 millimeter maximum width. Our drivers are out here qualifying right now to see where they will be seated in our tandem battle bracket. What a mouthful. Now I can stop rambling as Jabbar Ramos is ready to take his first qualifying lap. Jabbar clicks in well before our last initiation point there. A big angle and a sit. He's going to have to pull away from outside 1. Needs to get that machine under control and settled out. Looks like he's back in the reins now as he pulls away from outside 2 just ever so slightly. He gets into outside 3. Getting that 350Z into the zone. I mean, Jabbar, clean it up, bud. Hopefully this is a mechanical issue, but Jabbar, it looks like he's fighting that 350Z through our course here. Checking off outside 5 pretty well as he rotates that 350Z down past that reference point and back up to outside zone number 6. It looks like the car's making him a bit timid. I'd be very curious to see where we land. Our judges definitely not happy with that lap, but nonetheless, he made it and survived over the finish line. Well, weird stuff out of the Barbie boys. Weird stuff. Well, Jabbar will have another chance to redeem that first qualifying run regardless of the points that were awarded from the judges. Our next judge driver up on the line to be taking his first qualifying run is Rich Whiteman. That's my dad. Rich Whiteman piloting that SR20 powered S13 coupe. I think that thing's actually it's right-hand drive. I think that's legitimately a Sylvia for all you purists out there that needs to name things right. But here we go. That's my dad, Rich Whiteman, going down into clicking into outside 1 well before our last initiation point, getting that SR20 to sing, getting that rear axle of that coupe back where it needs to be, nice and deep, and a solid drive through outside 1. Rotates into outside 2. Nice confident drive down the hill here at Raceway Park as he checks into outside 3. And checks out just immediately. He gets into that front inside clip. Doing a great job here as Rich Whiteman navigates into outside 4. Needs to keep it nice and deep to keep Sarah happy here. Rotates back up to outside 5. The people's corner is that SR20 singing the blow-off valve choo-choo. As Rich Whiteman, calm and collective, rotates down that reference point back up to our last and final zone here at Raceway Park. Doing a great job, getting some oohs and ahs from the crowd here. Make some noise for Rich Whiteman in his first qualifying lap with that SR20 powered Sylvia coupe. All right, next driver already having their tires warmed up, ready to go, waiting on the grid for the green light. Steve Vicenda piloting his S13, ready to take his first qualifying run here at round 4 of the Gambler. If you guys are joining us at home, you're watching the conclusion of Rich Whiteman's first qualifying run here at round 4 and checking the boxes off he did with that SR20 powered coupe. Here goes Steve Vicenda getting the greens, navigating through the chicane on the backside of Raceway Park as he navigates down the straightaway. Initiates well before the last initiation point. Needs to click into outside 1, getting that rear axle of that S13 back in there. Steve doing a good job, nice confident drive, a little bit of no inputs going into and the exit. Just misses outside 5, getting the rear bumper, or outside 2. Sacrifices outside 3 with a little too much angle through outside 2, rotates back to that front inside clip and gets resituated for outside 4. Steve sacrificing a few points on the board, but looking like he's going to clean it up now as he works his way into outside 5, the people's corner, the hairpin here at Raceway Park. Keeping it on the asphalt, rotates back down to the reference point. That drone barking at his window as he rotates back up to the Raceway Park and checks off the final outside zone here. Taking a few sacrifices, but nonetheless survives the lap, and we'll see him in the show. He'll have another chance at a second qualifying lap where he'll be able to better that score. But nonetheless, he is in the show, which feels a little better than a few of our drivers out here. If you guys are curious where your qualifying scores are landing, sucks to suck. It's a secret until the bracket meeting. We're going to keep our qualifying order a secret until we get into our bracket meeting. Make sure our drivers show up for our drivers meeting. Conclusion of qualifying, we will announce our bracket for our drivers here at round 4 of the Gambler. Our next driver to qualify, Nate Chen, piloting that VA-powered FD RX-7. All right, our lights are illuminated and the greens are go. Nate Chen taking his first qualifying lap here. Chen piloting that FDRX7 clicks in well before our first initiation point and getting a lot of angles. And he needs to resettle the FDs. He gets into outside zone number 1. Chen doing a good job for the completion of outside 1 as he rotates into outside 2, getting that FD nice and deep. Rotates down the hill and needs to check off outside 3. Chen doing a good job as he rotates the front end of that FD. Past that front inside clip, the only inside clip here at Raceway Park's road course. Checks off outside 4. Does a great job on the exit, rotates back up to People's Corner outside 5. Nate Chen starts putting the reference point down and flicks back up to that last outside zone. And a great qualifying lap here out of Nate Chen at round 4 of the Gambler. Definitely a solid first qualifying lap out of Nate Chen and his FD RX-7. If you guys are joining us on live from Facebook and YouTube, you are seeing the drone view of that FD RX-7 piloted by Nate navigating through round 4's course here on the road course. Our drivers are responsible for 6 judge zones, and Nate Chen doing a great job going through the checklist for our judges. If you're curious of our qualifying scores, you will have to be patient, just like our drivers, after our announcements of our brackets. Make sure you subscribe to our social channels where you'll get the first looks of not only the schedule, but also the inside, behind the scenes, and also our bracket announcements. Our next driver on the line to qualify, Barack Azar, trailing his BMW up here very loosely. Barack piloting that JZ Power E36, got the green, ready to take his first qualifying run here at round 4 of the Gambler. Azar initiates well before that last initiation point, gets into outside zone number 1. Almost too deep, putting a tire off, pulls out of that 1, needs to clean it up for outside 2. We have a long course here, so don't sacrifice the entire run. Get your head back on your shoulders. Get the words back in my mouth. As he rotates past that first inside clip and out to outside 4. It looks like both of us are back on cue now as he rotates back into outside 5. Rock doing a good job, needs to get that rear axle of that BMW outside. Looks like he's gonna pull away from outside 5 a tad early, but nonetheless a confident drive down to the reference point, back up to outside zone number 6. Looks like he pulls off just ever so slightly. Maybe a tad too much grip in that car, but I'm not a doctor. Nor am I a spotter, but if you guys are joining us home, you're watching Barack Azar dip that tire off at outside 1, which basically almost ruined outside 1 for him, but he tries to clean it up for outside 2 and outside 3. Barack doing a solid job through his first qualifying lap. Definitely not a 100-point lap here at the Gambler, but nonetheless should put him in the show, and he also has another opportunity to put down a better score. Our last qualifying driver, or first run through of laps, Adam Daniels, a hero last time at round 3, was on a mission. Coming out this time, locked and loaded, ready to take his first qualifying lap at round 4 of the Gambler. And we have the green light for Adam Daniels. Our last of our first qualifying laps here. Adam Daniels clicks in well before our last initiation point with a ton of angle, dips into outside 1. The rear axle a tad off, a bit shy, but then gets in late. Holds it nice and deep and rotates into outside 2. Keeping that E36 BMW convertible all the way through the hill and holding its momentum through outside 3. Adam does a good job rotating through that first inside clip, keeping the front bumper nice and tight as he rotates into outside 4. Keeping the rear axle of that BMW nice and tight in the outside line of the course here at Raceway Park. Keeping it out of the dirt on the asphalt. Adam Daniels starting to step on as he goes down to that reference point. Let's see if he can clean this off with a nice solid first qualifying lap, and it looks like he will as Adam Daniels finishes off and survives his first qualifying lap with a confident drive. All right, we have ran through all 20 of our qualifying drivers, at least the ones that have made it to qualifying here today. We're going to flip it back and run back Edgar Jimenez for his second qualifying lap. Edgar already putting on a good showing in his first qualifying lap, looking to make some improvements here, opting to take his second qualifying run. He is done warming up his tires and locking himself behind our repurposed drag tree here at Raceway Park. We'll illuminate the yellows and greens, and he'll get the green to take off his second qualifying lap and better his first. Edgar Jimenez patiently waiting for our judges' cue. And it looks like our judges are ready, waiting for the green lights to illuminate. I am rambling, trying to fill up the time, waiting for Jimenez's second qualifying lap. We're waiting on the drone. Batteries. Oh, Bluetooth connectivity. Oh, we got hacked? I'm kidding, we didn't get hacked. See how every time you guys look at me, I look at me? I'd look at me. If you guys need a comparison, Ricky's over there. A big shout out for our panel of judges out here hanging out and sweating it out up here underneath the pavilion, up hanging out in the bleachers with our fans at Raceway Park, waiting for our second run of qualifying. We got the green. Edgar Jimenez taking his second qualifying lap here, looking to make an improvement on already a heater of a first. Jimenez clicks in well before that last initiation cone. If you guys are curious what that is, it's that 1, 2, 3 cone. They have until that last yellow cone to initiate. None of our drivers do that. They initiate like way before that. But nonetheless, Jimenez doing a great job through his second qualifying run here as he checks into outside 3. Another checklist run here as he clicks off that front inside clip, rotating that E46 back up for outside 4. Jimenez doing a great job, nice and deep through outside 4, looking calm and collective, and rotates that E46 BMW out to outside 5. Confident throttle output as he puts back down to the reference point and back up to the bank here for the last outside zone. Jimenez pulling on the line there and across the finish line for his solid second qualifying lap. If you guys are curious what that qualifying score is, don't worry, I will tell you, but you have to be patient. It's called teasing. It's called foreplay. We'll tell you later. Just a reminder, our drivers here qualifying today randomly will be awarded throughout qualifying our Let It Ride tokens thanks to Drift HQ, South Bay Fuel Injectors, and Freedom Motorsports. These tokens double in value each time a driver wins a battle. If that driver loses the battle, the opponent actually steals that token and now has the ability to double its value throughout our comp here. We call them Let It Ride because we let our drivers let it ride unless they tell us otherwise. So that driver can choose to put that prize money in their pocket at any point. If that's paying for the sandwiches for the crew, the gas to get back home, or tires, nonetheless, the drivers have that opportunity to win and even still lose. Our next qualifying driver to take his second qualifying pass is Jack Coleman, clicking in well before that last initiation point, going into outside zone number 1. Just shy getting into that zone, but now he looks like he gets into a nice confident drive as he clicks and rotates back into outside 2. A good dump for that sedan back down, or coupe, I'm sorry. Down to the outside 3, avoiding outside 3 as he rotates in that front inside clip. Coleman rotates into outside 4, getting that car maybe tad too deep into the outside 4, but nonetheless a confident drive, flooring it to get out of that zone into outside 5, that people's corner. Jack doing a good job, rotate back down to that reference point in the final zone. Needs to keep it out of the wall, keep the taillights in the car, maybe a tad shy off the wall. A safe run nonetheless. It should put him into the show for a tandem battles later today. Make some noise for Jack Coleman completing his second qualifying lap. Our next driver on the line to take his second qualifying lap is Mike Sampson, piloting that E30 BMW. If you guys are just joining us on Facebook or YouTube and wondering where are the qualifying scores, well, Sarah stole our computer, so you gotta wait. I'm kidding, we're just teasing you. We'll announce our bracket in our bracket drivers meeting to everyone and our drivers. But first, we gotta finish qualifying with Mike Sampson, piloting that E30, initiates well before our last initiation point. Maybe a little bit of a bobble, but gets into outside one nonetheless. A tad shy off the start, but a confident drive, getting that BMW out to outside two. Needs to flick down the hill here. Hold his momentum through. We like to see him stay on throttle as he pulls into that outside three, back into that front inside clip, rotates back into outside four. Sampson doing a good job. Oh, and it looks like he missed the gear there. Going into outside four, he's gonna have to wash this run out, but Sampson, to my notes, has a solid first qualifying lap and should put himself into the show. Definitely looking to make improvements here, but it's okay. He'll fight another day. Our next qualifying driver to leave for his second qualifying lap, Jimmy Revert, clicking in with that VA-powered S13. Getting into outside one, nice and deep. Jimmy doing a good job. Needs to hold that proximity to that box as he works his way out and into outside zone number two. Jimmy doing a good job down the hill here. Needs to check off outside three. Rotates back into that front inside clip, the only inside clip here on the road course at Raceway Park. Gets back on the throttle here, and a good snap on the throttles. He clicks off outside four. A ton of smoke out of the S13 as he rotates to outside five, keeping the car just Rayburn clicks down to that reference point and back up to that final outside zone here at Raceway Park, the bank wall. Jimmy looking nice and comfortable over the finish line for a second qualifying lap here. A super solid turnout from Jimmy. Looking forward to watching him battle out in the brackets later today. Our next driver on the line, once again in a borrowed car. First lap out in practice, snapped the axle, had to go fix it. Already broke his car. He's having a day. Colin Cressett piloting one of Kyle's S14s, out for his second qualifying lap. Already putting down a heater of a first, putting himself into the show. Don't know where his scores is. This is foreplay. We'll tell you later. But Colin Cressett out to take a second qualifying run, waiting for the green to illuminate. If you guys are joining us at home, premium sausage, the way sausage should be. All right, the lights are illuminated. The green is go. Colin. Colin Cressett taking his second qualifying lap here at the Gambler, round 4, piloting Kyle's car. He's borrowed this machine, and he is not dialed in for the second qualifying lap. But nonetheless, as I rambled on before, Colin put down a quality lap in his first qualifying in a borrowed car. That should put him in the show. We'll have to wait for our final results from the judges, but nonetheless, make some noise for Colin Cressett. He's been underneath cars more than in the driver's seat today, so make some noise in your appreciation because he's still out there spending money. All right, next driver on the line, Chris Poplowski. Got a good old woo out of that one. I need more woos. I know you're hyping them up, but it hypes me up when I get the woos, you know? It's no, don't. I got enough of ego. I don't need anything. Chris Poplowski. Chris Poplowski taking his second qualifying lap here at round 4 of the Gambler. Poplowski getting into outside zone number 1. Chris doing a good job clicking off outside 1 as he rotates into outside 2. Getting that rear axle at S14 exactly where it needs to go down the hill. Getting that car checked through outside 3. Rotates past that front inside clip. A tad weird through that front inside clip. We'll see how the judges weigh that as he rotates into outside 4. Keeping that S14 in the box. Chris doing a good job as he rotates out. Needs to keep that S14 out of the dirt. He avoids both the dirt and outside 5 as he rotates back down to the reference point. Keeping back on the throttle, needs to keep in the outside 6. A tad hesitant getting into these zones, but nonetheless, checking off the checklist, putting some points on the board, should put him into the battle brackets here later today. Make some noise for Chris Poplowski. Woo! Yeah, a couple woos. I'm ready to woo. Our next call. While we're waiting for the lights to illuminate, a big shout out to our event sponsors here today: Drift HQ, South Bay Fuel Injectors, Freedom Motorsports, Racers and Tuners, 506 Wraps, Vital Focus, East Coast Drift School, Tire Stacks, FDF Race Shop, Valino, and of course, Raceway Park, as Tim Frito is literally blazing the tires out of the chicane. I don't think the tire stopped spinning until they initiated going all the way into outside 1. Frito just shy of the box, but then checks into that outside zone number 1 as that E36 BMW rotates into outside 2. Jeez. Frito doing a good job as he clicks down to outside 3. Rotates that E36 BMW back through that front reference point and needs to get nice and wide set up for Sarah's corner, that outside 4. Tim doing a good job as he rotates out to outside 5, People's Corner. Keeps it out of the dirt. Once again, waving at the fans through the People's Corner. A man of the people, Tim Frito, as he rotates back up to outside 6. Checks off like a champ. And across the finish line, a confident drive out of Tim Frito in his second qualifying lap. Obviously out there having a great time here at round 4 of the Gambler. If I'm not mistaken, Frito pretty high up in the points. I don't have the points in front of me, but there is a points race here at the Gambler. This is round 4. We have one more round, round 5. Get over to racewaypark.com, get signed up, shake up the points, ruin someone's day. That's the whole point. Speaking of points race, our next driver up in the line, waiting to take his second qualifying lap, Chris Meyer, looking to improve on his first qualifying lap. Lights are illuminated as Chris and that VA-powered E46 BMW wiggle through the chicane here at Raceway Park. Clicks in well before that last initiation point and works his way to outside zone number 1. Chris Meyer doing a good job keeping the rear axle of that BMW exactly where it needs to be. Checks back over for outside 2. Gets the BMW maybe a tad shy off that box, but set himself up for outside 3. Rotates back up to the inside clip. Getting back on track now as he rotates into outside 4. He needs to make sure that both rear axles, there we go. A nice confident drive to the outside 4 and getting a nice spin into outside 5 out of the dirt. Chris Meyer, a good confident drive to the People's Corner. Goes down the hill, back to the reference point and back up to the last outside 6. As Chris Meyer cleans off his second qualifying lap here at round 4 of the Gambler. Our next qualifying driver on the line, Alex Lepore. warming up his tires right now in that Mustang, waiting to grid up behind that Raceway tree, drag tree. And we'll send him for a second qualifying lap. Already getting some points on the board. If you guys are wondering where are the qualifying results, this is foreplay. We will announce them with the bracket drivers meeting later today, where our 20 drivers here in our 235 only round will battle it out for the top of the box for cash prizes, Valino tires if they are equipped. There's a ton of ways to win money out here at the Gambler. Like, ton of ways. I mean, we have literally a last man call out between Trevor Root and Tim Frito. They put up $100, said, I'll last longer than you. I'm going to last longer, which is the weirdest flex out here. And here we go, our next driver to take his second qualifying lap, Alex Lepore with that Mustang. A bit of a bobble going to outside one. Probably going to have to chalk that off. Nonetheless, take the lap. Create the data. You got a lap underneath your belt. Start putting the throttle down. Waste the tires off. Get comfortable. This is your time, Alex. You haven't thrown away the entire event. Starting to get comfortable now as he rotates in that people's corner outside 5. Lepore nice and deep into outside 5. Doing a great job there. A good clutch kick as he works down to the reference point and back up to outside 6. Getting that Mustang nice and high. And finish it off over the finish line. Having that big bobble close to the beginning of his run is definitely going to hurt his score, but nonetheless, he has points, and he has points from his previous run, so he should be okay. If you guys are curious where Lepore is going to land in our bracket, stay tuned where we'll announce our battles later today after we conclude the second lap around qualifying. Our next driver on the line, Andrew Fable. Big log dude. As you can hear, that's our 20 screaming down into that first initiation. Clicks in the outside zone number 1 with that S14 as Andrew Fable super deep through outside 1, holding that proximity of that S14 as he rotates into outside 2. Fable doing a great job as he keeping that momentum down the hill here at Raceway Park and checks up, so outside 3. Fable needs to keep that front bumper, the S14 right on the side of that front inside clip. Rotates into outside 4. We need him nice and deep. Maybe a tad shy, completely shy of outside 4, but rotates into outside 5 here in the hairpin. Fable doing a good job, putting the power down, rotates back through, over that reference point and back up to that last outside zone. Got to keep it out of the wall, survive the lap here. As Fable and his S14 put some points on the board, and we'll make it into our bracket battles here at round 4 of the Gambler. That's Smoking Cowboys E46. Pavlo is ready to take his second qualifying lap here at round 4 of the Gambler. Locked and loaded, waiting patiently in the grid. If you guys are joining us at home, you're watching the drone footage of Andrew Fable's second qualifying lap, where Fable, allergic to outside 4. I think that was a little bit of a message to Sarah for ditching us. All right, here we go. Pablo's second qualifying run here at round 4 of the Gambler. Clicks in with that E46 BMW. Needs to get into outside 1, a bit shy off the box, but gets in a tad late about halfway through as he rotates that E46 back down to outside 2. Doing a good job of getting that rear axle where it needs to be as he holds that momentum down the hill into outside 3. Pablo doing a good job getting that Smoking Cowboys BMW navigated through that front inside clip and out into outside 4. Needs to hold himself in the box, pulls away early out of outside 4, rotates back up to outside 5. Pablo needs to put the power down now as he has a confident drive into people's corner. Rotates back down through that reference point and back up. This is the last outside zone for our judges to critique what he's got, and he's doing a good job. Pulls out a tad early, but survives over the finish line. Makes some noise for that Smoking Cowboys E46 of Pablo. I can hear the Cowboys from the bar. Trevor Tree. Our next qualifying driver up on the line, Trevor Root, piloting that E36 airplane. If you guys are unaware of what I mean by airplane, he turns the back end of that car into a point on the daily. Complete disregard for anything that BMW has designed in the back end of a BMW E36. Just quite disrespectful, if you ask me. I wouldn't take that. All right, Trevor Root taking his second qualifying lap here, already putting down a decent first qualifying lap, looking to make some improvements here, collect himself and his thoughts as he works his E36 BMW. just shy of outside 1, but checks in now. Root doing a good job holding the power down as he rotates out to outside 2. Root checks off outside 2 from the judges' checklist. Needs to keep that car on the wide line as he goes and checks off outside 3. Rotates past that first and only inside clip. Rotates that LSA supercharged BMW out to outside 4. Root doing a good job. Out to the people's corner. Needs to keep it out of the dirt here. Root doing a great job. Standing on that supercharged V8's power as he walks back to the reference point, back up to the last outside zone. Doesn't turn his BMW into an airplane, and finishes off his lap with a solid second qualifying lap out of Root. I heard somebody's drinking every time I say click, 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 click. You're going to be asleep in a half hour. Click, 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 click. All right, here goes Mike Knapp with his second qualifying lap here. With his 1 Series BMW, fresh with a 1.5J underneath the hood. Mike Knapp doing what he needs to do through outside zone number 1. Rotates down to outside 2. Gets through outside 3, rotates to that first and only inside clip. Clicks into outside 4. Rotates back out to outside 5. The people's corner needs to keep it out of the dirt, putting half the axle in, all the axle in, and Mike Knapp with a ride through the splash zone on the outside of outside zone number 5. Outer zone 5, outside zone number 5. You're going to drink every time I say a word at this point. Mike Knapp holding some points from his first qualifying lap. Unfortunately, taking a spill in his second. He's going to hold on to that first qualifying. Our next driver in a do-or-die situation. Jabbar Ramos to grid. Jabbar Ramos to grid. You're good, Ricky. It's okay. I accept your apology. Our next driver, a do-or-die situation, taking some hits through our first qualifying. Joshua Cohen, piloting that 350Z, has to put some points down in the judges' eyes in order to make it into the battle bracket here later today. If you guys are still curious, where are these drivers qualifying? This is called foreplay. This is teasing you. We will tell you later. Stay tuned, all right? It's sensual. It's not mean. All right, Joshua Cohen. Do or die, needs to clean it up, checks off, doing much better than his first lap as he gets through outside zone number 1. Josh doing a good job, super deep, completes outside 1, gets through outside 2, using that inertia to get down the hill here at Raceway Park, avoids outside 3, a little bit of a bobble, needs to get that car back under control, clicks off that first inside clip, click, 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 outside 4. Josh doing a good job as he gets into outside zone number 5. Cohen definitely getting the points he needs to hold on for one more zone. Gets nice and tight, clicking a taillight right into the zone. And click, 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 you guys are drunk now. Jabbar Ramos, you are sitting on a goose egg from your first qualifying lap. This is your last chance call to get to your qualifying grid. I repeat, if you need to call your comp 5, you need to communicate that to the tower or race control immediately. I repeat, Jabbar Ramos, we need you in surgery, bud. Wash your hands, wipe your butt, let's go. All right, if you guys are joining us on live stream, we are looking for Jabbar Ramos, who looked like he was having a little bit of mechanical issues through his first qualifying lap. We are giving him his due diligence to get out for a second qualifying, but the timer is ticking away, clicking away. If you guys are joining us on the live stream, yes, this is going to be live for the entire race. We will show the tandem battles. Don't worry, there's no paywalls, there's no anything like that. But make sure you go show support for our event sponsors. A big shout out to our Let It Ride sponsors, which are allowing our drivers to win extra money thanks to Drift HQ, South Bay Fuel Injectors, and Freedom Motorsports. Also, a big shout out to Racers and Tuners, 506 Wraps, Vital Focus, East Coast Drift School, Tire Stacks, FDF Race Shop, Valino, and of course, Raceway Park for helping make the Gambler Series happen. Make sure you guys wander through, show some love on social media. I don't care if you go over there and tell them Mike Perez said you smell weird. It's helpful. Thank you. I do smell weird, like fresh cut spring flowers with a scent of lemon. Rich Whiteman taking his second qualifying lap here at the Gambler, sneaking up on me there. As he clicks off outside one, doing a great job with that SR20 powered coupe. Nice and deep through outside two. Super deep through outside 2 and 3. A great line going down the hill here at Raceway Park. Checks off the outside, or that first inside clip. Rich Whiteman, that's my dad, through outside 4, doing a great job here. He's getting back on the power of that SR20 powered coupe. Right through the box here from outside 5. Whiteman rotates back down to that reference point and back up to outside 6. Just shy of super deep. We'll call that the bank wall. A solid second qualifying lap out of Rich Whiteman. Makes some noise for That's My Dad. We have 4 drivers left in our qualifying. I repeat, 4 drivers left in our qualifying. Our next driver on the line, Steve Facenda. Steve Facenda, waiting to take his second qualifying lap. I haven't got news on Jabbar Ramos, but I can only assume the worst. It's not really nice to do that, but RIP. Our next qualifying driver ready to take his second qualifying lap, Steve Facenda. Gets into outside zone number 1. Steve doing a good job, nice and solid, confident drive. Rotates into outside 2. A bit shy with the rear axle of the SRT as he goes down the hill into outside 3. Rotates back up to that first inside clip. Rotates to the other side of the lock. Into outside 4, Steve doing a good job. Exit 4 in its completion, back out to outside 5, the People's Corner, keeps it out of the mud. Steve putting it right in the box, just how she likes it. Back over the reference point, and clicks into outside 6. A tad late there from Steve, but a safe run for a second qualifying lap and finishes off nice and solid. We'll see Steve in the battle brackets here later today. Mirror hours, half hour, hour. We're going to do some math and basically come right back. Our drivers are going to get right back to grid. So if you guys are joining us at home, don't worry. There's not a long intermission. Maybe enough to cook maybe a half-ounce bag of popcorn. Depends on your microwave settings. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. But we're going to get our next driver up in the line so we can get to the fun stuff. Nate Chen piloting that FD RX-7, waiting to take his... Oh, Chen choosing not to take his second qualifying run. All right. He feels confident. Green lights are illuminated. Way to go, Nate Chen, for his second qualifying lap. All right. That speeds things up for you guys at home and here at Raceway Park. Our next driver on the line should be Barack Ozar. Just give us a moment to collect our driver as we probably snuck that up on him. He is out on the grid. I see him getting into his machine as we speak. Give him just a moment to get his safety equipment on, the machine warm and started, and we'll get his second qualifying lap underway. If you guys are joining us here at Raceway Park, stop by the grease truck, grab a snack, stop into our trackside Sneaky Pete's bar, grab a drink special. All of them are amazing. and we'll get right back to our qualifying as I see Jabbar Ramos and his 350Z enter the grid. So that's good news. We are going to let Jabbar take his second qualifying lap because we're not mean.
I mean, not today.
You're right. It's a nice day out. If it was hotter out, Jabbar would be going home. If you guys are joining us on the live stream at home, thank you for joining us here at Raceway Park for round 4 of the Gambler. Let's get some like Adam LZ vibe spams in the chat. Like just really just hype it up. Like I'm really counting on you guys to be like the Raceway Park army to just literally break the stream. Break it. Barack Azar going into his second qualifying lap here. A dumb deep. He shoved it down there, hoping for the best. Wrestling with outside zone number 1 as he rotates into outside 2. Rakazar with that JZ powered E36. Getting into outside 3, rotates into that first inside clip, getting that E36 settled. Looks like he's going to get into outside 4, nice and controlled at this point as Barack flicks into outside 5. The people's corner, got to keep it out of the dirt, just on the edge of the pavement there. Barack doing a good job, needs to hold that car and that machine under control, past the reference point, back up to outside 6. Just shy of the wall, but finishes off nice and strong. A second qualifying lap out of Barack Azar will put him into our bracket for battles here today. Our last driver of qualifying, waiting for, we're going to put Jabbar Ramos, then our last driver. Jabbar, just messing up the order, man. Just coming in here, just kicking my plants over. All right, Jabbar Ramos in that 350Z V8 powered, sitting under the hood. Clicking in for his second qualifying lap, sitting on an incomplete for his first. This is a do or die situation for Jabbar to put himself into tandem battles. Our lights are illuminated, our judges are ready. Jabbar wiggles his way through the chicane, and we'll see how he does on his last chance qualifier. Jabbar clicks in well before the last initiation point, needs to get into outside zone number 1. Doing a good job here now, second time through, as Jabbar checks into outside 1 and rotates back in to outside 2. Just shy of the box to outside 2, needs to get down the hill to outside 3. Definitely not how she likes it, it's not deep enough going to outside 3, he's going into that front inside clip. Jabbar trying to get nice and deep into outside 4, trying to make Sarah proud as she's not even joining us here at round 4 of the Gambler. Clicks into outside 5, the people's corner. Jabbar just shy off the outside, maybe one tire drop, but nonetheless getting some points on the board. Needs to keep it together off of the wall here at Raceway Park. Just some points, Jabbar, just some points, and he survives the lap. That should put him into the battle. Looking forward to watching Jabbar battle out later today. All right, we got one more driver here to qualify for round 4. This is a 235 millimeter tire restricted class only this round on the road course. Adam Daniels piloting that E36 BMW. I just rechecked the chat. E36 BMW ready to take his second qualifying lap. Big Ego fans in the chat. Big Diego fans in the chat. I mean, I don't know why you guys aren't here. It's basically free money, and you guys all just choose not to show up to the greatest place on earth. If you guys want to get signed up to drive here at Raceway Park, it's racewaypark.com. That's racewaypark.com. Adam Daniels taking his second qualifying lap here, round 4, a big flick, nasty flick into outside 1 from Daniels. Just shy on the entry of outside 1, but locks in, standing on the throttle, getting himself into outside 2, pulls down the hill, needs to get into outside 3. A little bit of correction of that inertia going down the hill, but getting into out the front inside clip. And Daniels Just shy of being one axle in, both side of the axle in. Rotates back up to outside 5. Daniels pulls out a tad early at an outside 5. Rotates back down to that reference point and back up to that final zone, outside 6. Got to keep the taillights out of the wall, survive over the finish line, and we'll see him in battle bracket today. Already sitting on a solid qualifying lap. Make some noise for Adam Daniels in his second qualifying. Yes, you do need a cage to run this comp. We don't want you to die. We're going fast. Plus, we're in the stadium as well. If you guys haven't seen the stadium for the other rounds, that is gnarly. Majority, half the zones are walls of death. We like to see you with a cage. All right, at this time, we are going to take the moment, do all the math. We left the math in Ricky Hoffman's hands, so it's going to take quite a minute, I know. Weird choice by management, but we'll let it fly this time because round 4, we're sitting by the seat of our pants. But Ricky Hoffman, don't worry, I'll help him with the math. I'll help him with his homework. We're going to go tally all our qualifying. We're going to set up our bracket. We're going to get our drivers over for our drivers meeting. If you guys are joining us at home, our drone guys are going to be flying around, showing some replay. They're going to showing some other amazing stuff from previous rounds here of the Gambler. This would be a great time to go over to social media, say hello to all of our sponsors, say thank you for letting these drivers come out here to put on an amazing show, spend all their money. So make sure you give a big shout out to Drift HQ, South Bay Fuel Injectors, Freedom Motorsports, Racers and Tuners, 506 Wraps, Vital Focus, East Coast Drift School, Tire Stacks, FDF Race Shop, and Valino Tires, as well as Raceway Park. If you guys would like to get involved, to get your name randomly throughout the Gambler by myself, get over to Raceway Park, you can get signed up. We can have each one of these drivers out here slinging Premio sausages, if you so choose. But give us just a moment. We'll go do the math. Grab a snack, grab a drink from Sneaky Pete's Bar, our trackside bar here, one of our drink specials, and we'll get right back to the action here at round 4 of the Gambler here at Raceway Park. I'm done rambling. Let me go help Ricky with the math. We'll be right back. To our drivers meeting for our bracket announcements. If you guys are joining us on the live stream, we will be back with our bracket announcements as well as right into our battles at 4 p.m. I repeat, 4 p.m. Set your hey Alexa, set an alarm for 4 p.m. Hey Siri, set an alarm for 4 p.m. Hey Xbox, turn off.